Hey everyone, Crash here again. Wanted to talk a little bit tonight about troop usage and selection. As you can see here, I've got a little bit of an array put up with my yellow team, starting with the 4-star defensive troop, going to 4-star offensive, uh, 3-star offensive, 3-star defensive, and then 2-star offensive. So looking through the different stats, you see, the 3 stars and the 4 stars, they have 4 attributes to them, where the 2-star only has 3. Those extra attributes are definitely something you need to take into consideration, whether you're wanting to increase your critical, increase your mana production, get health bonuses. A lot of times when I'm looking at my troops, what I'm looking to determine is, what am I going for? What's my intent with my team? Dealing with defensive teams, typically I want to load them up with defense. That's the number one goal of a defensive team, is to have the strongest defense, take the least amount of damage, withstand the longest. It's when we start looking at offensive tactics, such as Titans, raids, war. I get a little bit more creative on how I select my troops, trying to decide whether or not I want to pair up a defensive troop with an offensive hero. Is there a particular team build that I'm going for? I sit here and I look at Anatel, and she is a defensive hero, much higher defensive rating than offensive. Typically, I'm going to assign her with an offensive troop because I want her attack power increased. She's already strong enough defensively. You look at Leo here, he's pretty even. So, I might boost his defense up a bit, kind of give myself a little bit of an edge there. The intent that I usually go for also is to have at least one member of each caller with a high critical rating, and I want to have at least one member of each caller focused on mana production. That way I can get the most out of the special for the ones that I want the special to activate for. You look at Justice. Justice is a very high defense, and it's one of my more developed characters. So when I'm looking at a team like this, if these were the troops I had available, I'm probably going to give Justice the weakest of all the troops. Some people might argue that and say, well, no, you get the higher bonus, the higher percentage rating off the best troop. But KO, Wukong, KO's defensive, Wukong's offensive. So again, I'm going to look at what I have available. With KO being a defensive troop, I'm giving him an offensive defensive hero, giving him an offensive troop. Wukong's an offensive hero, gets a defensive troop. So this would be my setup right here, because Justice gets the weakest. I get the critical bonuses, I get the mana bonuses. I have offensive boost to defensive heroes, defensive boost to offensive heroes. And this has typically worked really well for me in my attacks, balancing out and improving the areas that my heroes lack. Now, in practical application, looking at this team here, what am I trying to do with this team? Well, shield breaking is one of the big things, but mostly with that team, it's about the power and the caller. This is a team that I would take against a red strong with a purple accent, a red tank, maybe a couple purples. I actually did a match like that earlier with this team. And what I'm doing here is, Kirill is my tank. Kirill is a strong defensive hero. I'm not really counting on Kirill to give me a major boost defensively. I'm counting on Kirill to heal. So I want to make sure Kirill's got that mana bonus, which is on the offensive 4-star. For both, Isarnia and Grim, they are both offensive heroes. I've supplied them with defensive troops to give them a better defensive rating, to help them stay alive a little longer. But they also have that critical attribute so that I have a better chance of having critical hits whenever I'm sending my tiles. Now, with my yellows that are in play here, I've got Onatel, I've got Justice, both defensive troops, or defensive heroes, excuse me. But how do I want to utilize them? What level of importance do they have here? Well, basically I want them both to fire off their mana, so I'm going to give them a mana boost. I'm giving them both offensive troops because they're defensive heroes, and I'm giving the best offensive troop to my highest powered hero. And what that does is that improves the percentages. That's where you're maximizing what you're getting from them. Now you'll see I'll change my setup a little bit here. Make sure I've got a better tank in that position, especially since I'm not boosting Kural's defense. These are all different things that I'm taking into consideration whenever I'm team building. At this point in time, either Justice or Onatel, either one would work good in the tank position here. So look at your troops. Look at the intention of your attack. What's the intention that you're using with this team? If I was using the blues to shield break, I would put mana boosts on at least one of Isarnia or Grim to try to get them to fire a little faster. But as it is, because I'm looking at power there and I'm looking at mana for my healer and my defensive heroes, as you can see here, I did put a defensive troop on Onatel because she's tank. So, hope that helps.